Welcome everyone to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins. Today we are going to uncover one of the most talked about, most mysterious, and most astonishing coins in American numismatic history. This is none other than the Liberty 1 cent 1970 D USA coin, a coin that looks so ordinary at first glance, yet it hides within itself a story of history, rarity, minting quirks, and astonishing monetary value that makes collectors and investors go absolutely crazy. Believe it or not, certain versions and error strikes of this very coin have been valued at over $147 million in today's market. That's right, a single copper penny that most people might ignore, step over, or toss in a drawer could potentially be worth more than the price of a luxury mansion, more than fleets of luxury cars, and more than entire collections of other coins combined. This is the story of how something worth just 1 cent could turn into a global numismatic treasure worth millions upon millions of dollars. To begin, we must take a journey back to 1970. The United States was in the midst of social, political, and cultural upheaval. The Vietnam War was raging, NASA had already placed astronauts on the moon the previous year, and American society was experiencing monumental shifts in civil rights, music, fashion, and industry. Amid all of this, the United States Mint continued its day-to-day operations, producing coins that would circulate in the hands of millions of Americans. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had by then been in circulation for over 6 decades. By 1970, the design featuring Lincoln's bust on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse was already familiar to every citizen. The 1970 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the primary branches of the United States Mint. Denver coins are marked with the small d mint mark beneath the year of issue, and in 1970, Denver struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. To the untrained eye, these pennies appear no different from one another. They were struck primarily in bronze, made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, and they were meant to be ordinary workhorse coins for everyday commerce. But as with so many stories in numismatics, rarity is born not from the ordinary, but from the extraordinary. It is born from minting errors, limited runs, and unexpected anomalies that only a few people recognize and preserve. Among the 1970 D pennies, a few astonishing varieties have emerged. One of the most famous is the 1970 South Small Date Lincoln Center, though that is from San Francisco. However, the Denver Mint also produced coins with misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, and unusual die varieties. Some of these errors are so subtle that only a collector with a magnifying glass and a trained eye could notice them. But when they do, the value skyrockets. Imagine holding a penny worth more than the combined salaries of hundreds of workers, all because of a small detail on the coin surface. What makes the Liberty 1 cent 1970 D coin particularly legendary is the combination of scarcity, condition, and error varieties. A handful of these coins were struck with minting mistakes that make them one of a kind. Some display doubling on the date or the lettering. Others may have been struck on planchets intended for foreign coins, creating off-metal rarities that collectors dream about. There are stories of coins leaving the mint with the wrong alloy, or with a weak strike that created unusual impressions on Lincoln's portrait or the memorial reverse. All of these anomalies transform what should be an ordinary cent into a $1 million masterpiece. Now, you might be wondering, how could a penny reach the staggering valuation of $147 million? The answer lies not only in rarity but also in the world of high-profile auctions, wealthy collectors, and the psychology of owning a piece of history. In the world of collectibles, items that are unique or nearly impossible to replicate often become priceless. Consider famous works of art, like the Mona Lisa or Van Gogh's Starry Night. Their value is not derived from the materials used, but from the rarity, historical significance, and the cultural weight they carry. Coins work in much the same way. For certain collectors, owning the rarest Lincoln cent, one with impeccable condition and documented errors, is like owning the crown jewel of American numismatics. And when billionaire collectors compete at auction, prices soar beyond imagination. The 1970 D Liberty 1 cent coin's astronomical valuation is often tied to its condition as well. Coins that are circulated, scratched, or worn down from years of pocket use might still carry some premium value, especially if they have errors. But the coins that truly command fortunes are those in mint state condition, preserved almost perfectly since the day they were struck. Grading agencies like PCGS and NGC assign numerical grades based on the coin strike, luster, and preservation, with MS70 being the pinnacle of perfection. A 1970D penny graded at the highest levels, especially with a known error variety, becomes a dream investment. Collectors know they are bidding not just on a coin, but on a piece of perfection that no one else can ever match. Beyond value, the history of the Lincoln cent itself adds cultural importance. Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most respected and revered figures in American history. Having his image on the cent since 1909 gave this coin series a patriotic and emotional connection that few others can match. By 1970, the design had already seen decades of service, but every strike still carried with it the image of America's 16th president and the symbolism of the Lincoln Memorial. Holding a 1970D cent is not just holding a coin, it is holding a piece of American history, tied to an era of great change and progress. Now, let's talk about the market. The numismatic world has exploded in recent years, fueled by online auctions, global trading, and an ever-growing community of collectors. Coins that once seemed obscure are now being uncovered from old collections, estate sales, and even pocket change. Stories circulate of people finding pennies in old jars or rolls from the bank and discovering that they are worth life-changing sums of money. The 1970D penny is among the most talked about coins in this category. While the vast majority are worth only face value or a small premium, those rare varieties and top-condition examples can command staggering sums. Some collectors and dealers place current valuations for certain varieties as high as $147 million, cementing its status as one of the most valuable coins ever known. Think about the implications of this. A single coin that cost the government just a fraction of a cent to mint over 50 years ago could now be worth more than the budgets of small towns. That transformation from common change to priceless treasure illustrates the magic of numismatics. It also highlights why so many people are now checking their pocket change more closely, hunting through rolls of pennies, and researching every small detail. The world of rare coins is filled with surprises, and the 1970D Liberty 1 cent is a shining example of that. If you are someone who enjoys collecting, investing, or simply learning about history, the lesson here is clear: never overlook the small things. That penny you think is ordinary might be a fortune waiting to be discovered. The 1970D cent is proof that extraordinary stories can hide in the most ordinary of places. And as long as collectors continue to value history, rarity, and beauty, coins like this will always command respect and staggering price tags. So the next time you come across a jar of old change, take a closer look. That little copper cent dated 1970 with a small d under the year might just change your life forever. And who knows, it might even make you the owner of one of the most valuable coins in the entire world, valued at over $147 million in today's market. My dear coin collectors, let's go to another exciting and very important video where today we are going to talk about one of the most fascinating and extraordinary coins in the entire world of numismatics, a coin that looks so ordinary in the hands of millions but holds a story so unique that its value goes far beyond its 1 cent face value. We are talking about the Liberty 1 cent 1974 USA coin, a coin that has made history, captured the imagination of collectors, and shocked the world with its breathtaking market value that today is estimated at over $143 million. Imagine, a tiny copper coin that most people would ignore on the street could actually be worth more than mansions, luxury cars, and priceless art combined. That is exactly why this story deserves our full attention, and why you should watch closely until the very end, because the details will absolutely change the way you look at coins forever. The year was 1974, a time of major change in the United States. America was experiencing political turmoil, economic challenges, and cultural shifts. Richard Nixon was still president but dealing with the growing Watergate scandal. The Vietnam War had left deep wounds across the nation. Inflation and financial instability were rising, and the government was looking for ways to reduce costs everywhere it could. And that is where the story of the 1974 1-cent coin becomes so powerful. Up until this time, the Lincoln cent had been struck in copper, a tradition that dated back many decades. But copper was becoming expensive, and the U.S. Mint was facing pressure to find cheaper alternatives. By the early 1970s, the rising price of copper meant that the cost of producing a single penny was close to or even higher than its actual face value. For the Mint, this was not sustainable. So in 1974, the U.S. Mint began experimenting with new materials for the 1-cent coin. They created test strikes in aluminum and experimented with different metals. A small number of 1974 aluminum cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint and handed out to members of Congress for review, although they were supposed to be returned and destroyed. But history shows us that not every coin made it back. Over the decades, rumors spread of surviving examples of these rare 1974 aluminum cents, some appearing at coin shows or in private collections, creating intense controversy. Legal battles erupted between the Mint and collectors about whether private citizens could even legally own them. This made the 1974 penny legendary in the world of numismatics, but even the regular 1974 copper 1-cent coins are not all equal. Within this year, multiple varieties and minting errors occurred. Some were struck with unusual die varieties, double dies, off-centers, and planchet mistakes. These rare errors transformed otherwise ordinary pennies into priceless treasures. Collectors knew that a coin with unique characteristics, combined with the historical backdrop of the 1974 aluminum experiment, made this year's penny truly exceptional. Now here is where the story gets truly mind-blowing. While billions of 1974 pennies were produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, a tiny number of extraordinary specimens have achieved legendary value in the market. For example, error coins from this year have fetched astronomical sums at auctions. But the rarest of the rare, the unique examples tied to the 1974 experimental production, have stunned the coin world with price tags of over $143 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, a single 1-cent coin valued higher than some of the world's most famous paintings. Why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in the principles of rarity, history, and condition. First, rarity is everything in coin collecting. A coin that only exists in one or two known examples instantly becomes a priceless artifact. Second, history makes a coin valuable because it tells a story of political decisions, economic struggles, and cultural memory. The 1974 penny represents the exact moment when the United States debated the future of its currency material, making it a milestone in monetary history. And third, condition, often measured by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, determines just how much collectors are willing to pay. A flawless coin with no scratches, dents, or wear can multiply in value compared to one in average circulated condition. The Liberty 1-cent 1974 coins that have reached the staggering $143 million mark are believed to be special experimental versions, possibly connected to the aluminum test strikes or rare die varieties. These coins are essentially the holy grail for penny collectors. For decades, their mystery has captivated enthusiasts, and when they appear in auctions, bidding wars explode, driving the prices higher and higher. The coin becomes not just a piece of metal but a piece of American history locked in time. Imagine holding in your hand a penny that has passed through history, a coin that once may have been handled by a congressman, a U.S. Mint official, or perhaps even sat hidden in a private collection for decades. This coin is more than currency, it is an artifact, a time capsule, a reminder of an America struggling with economic change, government scandals, and the evolving value of money itself. For collectors, owning such a coin is not about spending money but about owning history. Now let us talk about the design itself. The obverse of the 1974 1-cent features the iconic bust of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design had already been in use for over 60 years by 1974, making it one of the most enduring images on American currency. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, a symbol of unity and freedom. Every detail of this design connects back to America's heritage, from Lincoln's legacy of emancipation to the memorial representing national strength. Holding this coin, one sees not only metal but also the ideals of liberty and justice carved into its surface. Collectors also pay attention to the mint mark. The 1974 coins were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D mint mark, and San Francisco with an S mint mark for proof coins. Each mint mark tells a story about where the coin was born and what kind of strike it received. Proof coins from San Francisco, with their mirror-like surfaces, are especially desirable. Denver struck coins often in huge numbers, but rare errors have been found there as well. Philadelphia struck the controversial aluminum cents. Each mint adds another layer of fascination. Over the years, stories about people finding rare 1974 pennies in their change have circulated widely. A lucky individual could stumble upon one of these extraordinary pieces in an old jar of coins or an inherited collection. And just like that, an ordinary person could suddenly hold a fortune worth millions. This is why so many people today still search through their coins, hoping to discover the treasure hidden in plain sight. The dream of finding that life-changing penny keeps collectors searching tirelessly. The market value of $143 million is not just a number pulled out of thin air. It represents the culmination of collector passion, historical importance, and sheer rarity. In the world of numismatics, once-in-a-lifetime coins can break every record imaginable. The 1974 Liberty 1-cent coin has proven that even the smallest coin can have the largest impact. Think about it, with one single penny, you could own a fortune greater than lottery jackpots. That is the magical power of this tiny coin. So what does this mean for you? It means that every coin in your pocket has the potential to be more valuable than you think. It means that history is not just in textbooks but sitting right in the palm of your hand. And it means that by learning about coins, you open a doorway to incredible opportunities. The 1974 penny reminds us that money is not only about spending but also about preserving stories, cherishing heritage, and appreciating the unexpected treasures of the past. To this day, collectors and historians continue to debate the exact number of rare 1974 pennies that survived, especially the aluminum test strikes. Some are locked away, some are in private collections, and some may still be out there waiting to be discovered. Could one be in your house, in an old shoebox, or in your grandfather's drawer? The possibility is real, and that is why this story continues to thrill so many people. The Liberty 1-cent 1974 USA coin is not just a piece of change. It is a piece of legend. With a market value surpassing $143 million, it stands as proof that sometimes the most ordinary things in life are actually the most extraordinary. A tiny penny, often ignored, can be worth more than golden treasures. That is why collectors will never stop searching, and why the story of the 1974 penny will echo through history forever. So the next time you see a 1-cent coin, don't ignore it. My great fellows, now in the third history we go to another fascinating journey into the world of coins, treasures, history, and the hidden wealth that many people don't even realize might be sitting inside their homes, tucked away in old jars, boxes, or drawers. We are diving deep into one of the most intriguing and mysterious coins ever minted in the United States, a coin that has sparked curiosity, driven collectors into frenzy, and continues to hold a legendary status among numismatists worldwide. I'm talking about none other than the Liberty 1-cent 1975 USA coin. This little coin, minted nearly 50 years ago, has a story that is more dramatic than you can imagine, filled with historical context, minting surprises, collectors' secrets, and ultimately, a jaw-dropping current market valuation that has reached around $142 million for rare examples. Yes, you heard me right, a penny that is worth over $142 million, making it one of the most talked about and dream-worthy coins in American numismatic history. Now, before you dismiss this as just another old penny, let me remind you that the world of coin collecting is one where rarity, history, errors, and condition all merge to turn an ordinary small piece of copper or zinc into an extraordinary artifact worth a fortune. And the 1975 Liberty 1-cent coin is a perfect example of how a tiny piece of American currency can become a priceless treasure. So, let's begin our journey by exploring the history behind this coin, the circumstances of its minting, the design details that make it iconic, the errors and variations that give it immense rarity, and the market conditions that have pushed its value into the stratosphere. The year was 1975, an era of tremendous change in the United States. The Vietnam War was drawing to an end, the nation was still reeling from the Watergate scandal, inflation was soaring, and people's confidence in the economy and government was shaky. Yet, amid these turbulent times, everyday life went on, and part of that everyday life was the use of coins in daily transactions. In Denver, the U.S. Mint was busy producing billions of coins to keep commerce running smoothly. Among them were the 1975 Lincoln cents, often referred to by collectors as Liberty 1-cent coins because of the proud inscription Liberty stamped beside Abraham Lincoln's portrait. The coin's design itself carries a remarkable heritage. On the obverse, we see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It was the first time in U.S. history that a president's portrait had appeared on a circulating coin, and it became an enduring symbol of American values, leadership, and freedom. The word liberty appears boldly to the left of Lincoln's profile, reminding every citizen of the nation's most cherished principle. Above Lincoln's head is the motto "In God We Trust," while the date 1975 and the Denver Mint's D mark appear on the right. On the reverse, at that time, we still had the image of the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, standing tall as a representation of unity and strength. Look closely, and you'll even see the tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, making this design both symbolic and intricate. At first glance, the 1975 penny may look just like the millions of other pennies minted in the mid-1970s. Billions of these coins entered circulation, used for small purchases at grocery stores, gas stations, and diners across America. But what makes certain examples of this coin incredibly valuable are the rare minting errors, the condition in which they are preserved, and the extraordinary collector demand that has grown over the decades. Let's talk about mint errors, because this is where things get exciting. The U.S. Mint, even with its precision machinery, is not immune to mistakes. Every once in a while, a coin is struck off center, double die impressions occur, planchets are improperly prepared, or the wrong metal is used. These mistakes turn an otherwise common coin into a rarity that collectors will pay fortunes to acquire. For the 1975 Liberty 1-cent coin, some of the most legendary specimens include those with dramatic double die obverse errors, coins struck on experimental planchets, and a handful of misstruck pieces that slipped through quality control. These error coins are the ones that command unbelievable sums, sometimes skyrocketing into millions at auctions. Another major factor that influences the coin's value is condition. Coin grading, carried out by organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC), evaluates a coin's quality on a scale from 1 to 70. Most 1975 pennies you might find in pocket change today would probably grade somewhere between good G and extremely fine XF, and in those grades, they are only worth their face value or perhaps a few cents to collectors. But if you find an uncirculated example, especially one in mint state MS condition with a grade above MS 65, you are holding something special. The luster, the sharpness of details, and the absence of scratches or wear all combine to multiply the coin's value many times over. The rarest examples, graded as perfect MS 70, are nearly flawless and incredibly sought after, and this brings us to the heart of the matter: the valuation of the most extraordinary 1975 Liberty 1-cent coins. While the average coin is worth only a cent, the rarest examples have been sold or valued in private collections for sums that reach into the tens of millions. Auction houses have reported breathtaking sales, with bidding wars driving prices higher and higher as wealthy collectors vie for ownership of these tiny treasures. The record-breaking valuation of $142 million for a rare 1975 penny is a testament to just how intense this demand can be. This valuation is not just about the coin itself, but about what it represents: a tangible piece of American history, a symbol of freedom, a relic of a turbulent era, and a numismatic masterpiece of error and rarity. Now imagine the story of someone who unknowingly finds one of these coins in their change jar. A coin they may have dismissed as just another penny suddenly transforms into a life-changing fortune. Stories like this inspire millions of people around the world to check their old coins, search through inherited collections, and dream of striking it rich with a lucky find. And while it may seem improbable, history has shown time and again that these discoveries do happen. But beyond the money, beyond the valuations and auction prices, there is something even more profound about the 1975 Liberty 1-cent coin. It connects us to the past, to the people and events that shaped the United States in the 1970s. Every coin carries the fingerprints of history, the mint workers who struck it, the hands that passed it from pocket to pocket, the economic conditions of the time, and the artistry of its design. To hold a 1975 penny is to hold a small piece of American heritage, a reminder of where we have been and how far we have come. So, the next time you come across an old jar of pennies, or when you receive change at a store, take a closer look. That ordinary-looking penny might just be the key to a hidden treasure, a coin whose true value lies far beyond its tiny copper frame. Who knows, you might be holding one of the rarest, most valuable coins in the world. And if you do, you'll understand why collectors and historians alike consider the Liberty 1-cent 1975 not just a coin, but a priceless artifact of freedom, history, and unimaginable value. And there you have it, friends, the incredible story of the Liberty 1-cent 1975 USA coin, a tiny piece of metal that carries within it the weight of history, the beauty of design, and the potential of a fortune. From its humble minting in Denver during a turbulent era to its current status as a multi-million-dollar rarity, this coin has proven that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest worth. So keep your eyes open, keep your curiosity alive, and who knows, maybe one day, you'll be the lucky finder of a penny worth $142 million. My dear friends, now in the fourth history, today's fascinating deep dive into the world of rare and extraordinary coins, where history, craftsmanship, rarity, and market value come together to create treasures worth fortunes beyond imagination. We are uncovering the secrets, the mystery, and the remarkable story behind one of the most astonishing coins in American numismatic history, the Liberty 1-cent coin from 1976. This single cent, with a humble face value of just 1 penny, has captured worldwide attention not because it is ordinary, but because certain rare examples of this 1976 Liberty 1-cent have been valued in today's market at a staggering $141 million. That's right, a coin that the average person might overlook in their change has, under very specific conditions, become one of the most valuable small denomination coins ever known. To understand why this 1976 Liberty cent is so significant, we must first transport ourselves back to the mid-1970s. The year 1976 was no ordinary year in the United States. It marked the bicentennial of the nation's independence, a celebration of 200 years of American freedom, unity, and growth. Across the nation, there was a surge of patriotism and a desire to commemorate history. The U.S. Mint took part in these celebrations by issuing special bicentennial designs on quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins. But while the 1-cent coin, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, did not receive an official bicentennial redesign, the 1976 penny still found itself caught in the excitement and the frenzy of that historic year. Collectors began paying close attention to coins from 1976, and over time, certain varieties, errors, and rare surviving pieces of the Liberty 1-cent from that year gained immense recognition. The story of the 1976 Liberty 1-cent coin does not stop at simple production. In Denver, marked by the small but significant D mint mark just below the date, millions upon millions of pennies were struck. These pennies were made primarily of a copper alloy, as this was before the full transition to copper-plated zinc that would dominate the 1980s. Each coin bore the iconic portrait of Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, a design so timeless that it has endured on U.S. pennies for well over a century. The reverse still displayed the stately Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959, symbolizing strength, unity, and the enduring legacy of Lincoln's leadership. But among the sea of ordinary 1976 Lincoln pennies, there exists a tiny handful of coins that are anything but ordinary. These are the coins with striking anomalies, extraordinary preservation, or rare errors that catapult their values into the stratosphere. These rare cents are the reason we are even speaking of values reaching up to $141 million in today's market. So what exactly makes a 1976 Liberty 1 cent worth such an unimaginable fortune? The answer lies in the world of numismatics, where rarity, condition, demand, and historical significance intersect. Let's begin with condition. Collectors prize coins that remain in pristine mint state, coins that look as though they were never touched by human hands. Such coins retain their luster, their sharp details, and their brilliance even decades after leaving the mint. A 1976 penny in such flawless condition, graded by professional coin grading services as MS 68 or higher, can already fetch astounding prices in auctions. But when combined with historical significance and extraordinary rarity, values climb to record-shattering levels. Now consider the role of mint errors. Throughout history, mint errors have fascinated collectors. A double strike, an off-center strike, a misaligned die, or an unusual planchet composition can instantly transform an otherwise common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. In 1976, during the height of bicentennial production and with the mints under pressure to meet demand, certain mistakes did occur. Pennies struck on transitional planchets, such as copper-nickel intended for dimes, or pennies struck with remarkable doubling on the obverse or reverse, became highly sought after. One such piece, believed to have been struck on the wrong planchet and preserved in extraordinary condition, is the coin that captured the attention of collectors worldwide, pushing its valuation to the jaw-dropping figure of $141 million, but rarity and condition alone do not explain the astronomical value. We must also consider the human side of coin collecting, the stories, the demand, and the passion of collectors. A coin is not simply metal. It is a piece of history. The 1976 Liberty 1 cent represents the spirit of America's bicentennial year. It carries with it the energy, the patriotism, and the collective memory of a nation celebrating 200 years of freedom. Collectors, especially those with deep pockets, are not just buying a coin, they are buying a tangible piece of history, a story to own, and a legacy to preserve. This is what transforms a small copper cent into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Imagine holding such a coin in your hands. To the untrained eye, it might appear as just another penny. Yet, hidden in its details lies the potential to be one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. That is the magic of numismatics, the thrill of discovery, the possibility that an overlooked coin in your pocket change could hold a fortune beyond your wildest dreams. The market value of rare coins like the 1976 Liberty 1 cent is not static. It ebbs and flows with trends in collecting, auction results, and the interests of wealthy collectors and institutions. Currently, the record-setting example of the 1976 Liberty cent sits at an estimated market value of $141 million, an almost inconceivable figure for a coin with a face value of 1 cent. This valuation is based on auction results, rarity, and the fervent demand among collectors. And as history has shown us, when the right coin meets the right collector at the right auction, prices can soar even higher. Let us not forget that the story of the 1976 Liberty 1 cent is also a story of perseverance and passion. Across the decades, collectors have scoured rolls of pennies, examined thousands upon thousands of coins, and carefully studied details to uncover these hidden rarities. For every one extraordinary penny worth millions, there are countless ordinary ones that pass through everyday transactions unnoticed. It is this very rarity that makes such coins so extraordinary. The importance of the 1976 penny also extends into cultural symbolism. Coins are more than just money. They are storytellers. They connect us to the past, to the people who held them, to the history they witnessed. A 1976 penny could have been used to buy a newspaper announcing America's bicentennial celebrations, or it could have been pocketed as a keepsake by someone feeling patriotic pride. Each coin carries a story, and for the rare Liberty 1 cent worth millions, that story has grown into legend. So when we speak of a 1 cent coin valued at $141 million, we are not speaking of ordinary money. We are speaking of a symbol, a treasure, and a testament to the world of coin collecting. We are speaking of how something so small can become so monumental, how history and rarity can transform copper into gold, and how passion can turn collecting into an art. As we conclude this journey into the world of the 1976 Liberty 1 cent, let this story serve as inspiration. Next time you come across a penny, take a moment to look closely. Study its date, its mint mark, its details. Who knows what hidden rarity might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket or tucked away in an old jar. Perhaps one day, another story will be told, of a penny discovered by someone just like you, a penny worth a fortune, a penny that connects you to history, and a penny that changes your life forever. This is the magic of coins. This is the legacy of the Liberty 1 cent of 1976, a humble penny that became a priceless treasure, now valued at $141 million, and forever remembered as one of the most extraordinary coins in American history.